Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to this bilingual sales information session. This recorded video is prepared for both EL coordinators meeting during the MELED conference, as well as bilingual sales information session. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself and my role. My name is Ayumi Stockman. I am the World Languages Education Specialist at MDE with Division of Equity and Opportunity. I joined MDE in March 2020, and previously I was with Minneapolis Public Schools for 19 years. I was the most recently the World Languages Content Specialist. And before that, I was also a coordinator for Arabic and Chinese program under a federal grant. And I was a Japanese and ESL teacher in the district. Currently at the MDE, my areas of work is to support all languages programs, including heritage languages, traditional world languages, indigenous languages, and dual languages and immersion language programs, as well as bilingual sales. So this session is about Minnesota bilingual sales date, particularly for 2021. In this session, I'd like to go over 5 different components. The first is the overview of the bilingual sales program, and then 2, who the students are, and then number 3, assessment tools and MDE's radar training. And then number 4, responsibility at a glance. And at the end, I'd like to provide my contact information and link to resources. So this is a part 1, program overview. Minnesota bilingual seals and then world language proficiency certificates are state official awards. Seals are only for high school students, and it is awarded upon high school graduation. On the other hand, World Language Proficiency Certificate can be awarded for any grade level. You can see the images on the right side of those awards. So the Platinum Seal and then Gold Seal. MDE has the digital round images of the seals available. And on the other hand, World Language Proficiency Certificate is not the seal, but we do have MDE's official certificates available too. And then these awards are for demonstrated proficiency through assessments in all of the 4 modalities of language. So listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And it is 4 languages other than English. One of the big promising ideas of this program is that Minnesota State Colleges and Universities award college credit according to the statute. There's a link to the statute's 120B.022. You can, if you're interested, you can check that out and then read about what exactly the statutes say. So this chart illustrates each level of award and criteria. For the criteria, for the Minnesota bilingual seals, ACTFL, American Council on Teaching of Foreign Languages Proficiency Scales guidelines are used. So for World Language Proficiency Certificate, it is at ACTFL's intermediate level that gives 2 semesters college credit at the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities. For the Gold Seal level, it is at ACTFL's intermediate high, and that is 3 semesters college credit. And the Platinum Seal, it is at ACTFL's advanced law which gives 4 semesters credit. To just to give you an idea how many college credit that is, for example, at Minneapolis Community and Technical College, at MCTC, 4 semesters credit is 20 credit. So that is a lot of credit that students can earn without paying tuition. Just in case people don't know, that University of Minnesota is not a part of Minnesota State Colleges and Universities. And then they have their own ways of recognizing and acknowledging the students' previous learning and language skills. So this is some other important legislated items. Number 1, state colleges and universities award credit when the test was taken in grades 10, 11, and 12. And then also, number 2, seals are awarded graduation. Reason for that is meeting all the required English language art credit is also a part of the requirement. Therefore, technically, students have to be able to graduate by having met all the required English language art credit. And notating on a transcript would be considered that a seal is officially awarded. In the meantime, World Language Proficiency Certificate can be awarded in any grade level. However, in order to receive college credit for students, the tests have to be taken grades 10, 11, and 12. And then also, in order for students to receive college credit, they have to be enrolled in a Minnesota State Colleges institution. And the students also have to request within 3 years of high school graduation. It is not automatic, so students have to go through the process that each institution may have set in place. Number 4, schools and districts must notate in transcript. And number 5, schools and districts must retain proper records. And number 6, schools district may award high school credit. These languages are the languages in the past has been awarded these seals and then World Language Proficiency Certificates. And then also we have tests available. Amharic is new this year. It is going to be available later this year. So what are the benefits? The benefits may look different from a student to student. Overall, I thought that there are like 3 major benefits. One is that this college credit, the college option becomes a reality for many of our students. It is powerful for students to be told that they have the language skills that colleges award credit for. And the second benefit is obviously the money saving that comes with earning college credit for free of tuition. Possibly the second language requirement could be waived. And then in some situations, bilingual seals credit counted towards required elective credit. So that way there are different opportunities to directly tie into the money saving. And then at the end, lastly but not least, and then I believe this may be perhaps the most important, that is the official and public recognition that comes with bilingual seals. particularly for those students who speak languages other than English at home, has gone through the K-12 education systems, and they may not have been acknowledged for their linguistic assets and skills. So it is powerful for them to be recognized publicly and officially, and hosting a ceremony is something that really showcases these recognitions. These are some other concrete benefits. Students can use it for the resume, for job application or internship and college applications. And then transcript serves also language skills. Once you graduate from high school and you have to prove their language skills, oftentimes you have to take an assessment to prove that, and then that costs money. But while you are in high school, this bilingual skill assessments can be provided for free to almost nothing, free to very little money, possibly depending on the school district. And even if you do not go to Minnesota colleges and universities, seal of biliteracy is a nationwide. So in other states, there's a possibility that bilingual seals from Minnesota will be recognized. I just want to talk briefly about the national context. So seal of biliteracy movement has started in California about 10 years ago. And then now almost 40 states have adopted. Each state has different set of rules and criteria. They may have different award names and levels. About Minnesota, it's that college credit is legislated, which is very few among all the states. So Minnesota is one of the very few states that college credit is legislated tied into bilingual seals. Therefore, it can be said that Minnesota's seals are at higher stake. So we are moving on to part 2. Who are the students? Students are basically anyone who has language skills, including literacy other than English. So this includes all language learners, English learners, learners in world languages programs, Dakota and Ojibwe learners, heritage language learners, learners in dual and immersion programs, and then learners in a community-based weekend schools. I know there are Chinese, Czech, Japanese, Russian, and Tamil schools operating on the weekends, and I know there are many more. Minnesota students speak 300 languages at home. So part 3, I'd like to talk about the assessment tools. On the left column, these languages are Somali, Hmong, Karen, Vietnamese, Oromo, Amharic, and Dakota Ojibwe, and Czech and Tamil. For these languages, we have a Minnesota developed bilingual seals assessments in all 4 modalities available, except Amharic. And I can talk about that a little bit later. Also, for these languages, Avant World Speak offers speaking and writing tests as well. And I'd like to talk about a little more details about the options for these languages in several slides down. And then one thing about this is that MDE is currently looking into an online platform to deliver this assessment. So please stay tuned for update. And the middle column, languages such as Arabic, Chinese, French, German, Hebrew, Hindi, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, and Thai there are two organizations that offers proficiency assessments. Avant Stamp for S or Act for Apple. These two are utilized widely nationwide, and language options are not exactly the same. So I suggest that you check into that if you want to know more about that. And the nice thing about these assessment tools are you would pay a fee per student. However, that includes rating. So that is very nice. That comes with rating. And then for the third column, also the AP language exams and the IBDP, both language A and language B exams count towards Minnesota Bilingual Seals, as well as there's a link to MDE's approved assessment for other languages that you can find, read about it. Just to note about 2020 AP and IBDP exams that they are not accepted for Minnesota Bilingual Seals due to a significantly modified testing format, and they did not give opportunity for students to demonstrate in all the 4 modalities. So continuing with the assessment tools information, I wanted to talk about specifically these languages that in a chart. So on the first row for Dakota and Ojibwe, Karen, and Oromo, there's only one option available, which is to use Minnesota developed bilingual seals assessment for 4 modalities of reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Important thing about this option is that considerations for hiring speaking and then writing readers. So schools or the district needed to hire 2 trained readers per language for speaking and then writing. So just to give you an idea, it will cost about $150 for 1 to 5 students, and then $275 for around 10 students. Or you can also consider sending staff members or teachers or personnel to MDE's reader training. That will involve up to 25 hours of training and the actual reading work. And I would like to give you a little more detail about that in the next slide. And also the Minnesota Seals Assessment, reading and listening is a multiple choice questions. The next category is Hmong, Somali, and Vietnamese. For these 3 languages, there are 2 options available. Option 1 is to use Minnesota developed seals assessment. So if you use this option 1, then the considerations for hiring, speaking, and writing readers would be the same for Karen or Oromo or Dakota and Ojibwe. Schools have to hire 2 readers per language, or consider sending somebody to be trained. Option 2 for these languages is a use of advanced word speak assessment for speaking and writing, and then for reading and listening, use Minnesota Seals assessment. For this option, you do not need to hire readers, and the assessment cost will be $50 per student for advanced word speak, but that includes rating. And Minnesota Seals assessments are provided for free. So Amharic will have only one option, that is the combination of avant word speak and you using Minnesota Skills Assessment for reading and listening. So this option, again, you do not need to hire raters. However, there's a cost for the assessment itself. But again, avant word speaking and writing test includes $50 per student, but that includes rating. So that is very nice. So Minnesota Skills Assessment release date and the method of delivery is to be determined. So please email Ayumi Stockman at state.mn.us so that you will receive direct communication regarding the important updates on a timeline. So earlier I was talking about the MDE Skills Assessment Radar Training. So we host radar training every year, and then this is a tentative plan for 2021. So there are 3 components. The one is Actoforce Oral Proficiency Interview Familiarization Workshop. It is completely entirely done through online, and everybody who participates go through modules on your own time, and there are about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks a window that the people can do so. And the tentative date for that is the very beginning of January, and then followed up with 2 weeknights, about 1.5 hour sessions. The audience is new raters, raters with less than 2 years of experience. For the time commitment for this would be, they are estimating it will take about 10 to 14 hours on your own time, plus 3 hours for follow-up sessions. So that is one component. And then after that, second component is specific rater training to rate Minnesota Skills Assessment speaking and writing. And it is going to be all virtual training, and we are planning to host it on 2 Saturday mornings. And end of January, these dates are still tentative, it's not confirmed. And Saturday, January 23 dates are for new raters. And then the second Saturday, January 30th, will be for all raters. So new raters and experienced raters. And time commitment is also 3 hours each. So number 3, the rater reliability training that's going to happen in spring, probably in April. And then the audience is all raters and 2 hours per language group. So the reason I'm sharing with this information is that so that this gives you an idea as to weigh in which option may be suitable for your school or district, whether you try to identify somebody who speaks the language and train as a rater, or use avant word speak, then you will not have to hire a raters or train narrators. Only thing that may be beneficial for me that I can think of, if you have heritage language programs in those languages, and if you have a teacher or if you have a support staff, educators who are working to support these programs, this Actoforce familiarization workshop and then rater training is a great investment, because people will become familiar with the Actoforce proficiency guideline, which is helpful to set the goal and learn about teaching these languages line up with the proficiency guidelines. So moving on to part 4, whether it is a school-wide effort or district-wide effort or the individual effort for your student in the classroom, these are the all components that go into implementing bilingual skills work. First, it starts with students' recruitment and then identification. And you would do the assessment administration. After that, you have to identify the awardees. And there's a form to fill out to submit to MDE to request the award. And then there's a record keeping and transcript notation. And of course, informing families and students and perhaps a celebration. There is a bilingual skills web page recently developed, and Minnesota Bilingual and Multilingual skills implementation guidelines and transcript notation guidelines will be published soon on this web page. I'm not going to go detail in this slide, but for example, the awardee identification. If you are using Octopus Apple test, you will have to become familiar with this. And again, all the 4 modalities have to meet the criteria. So one key idea is that you always look at the lowest score that are earned by students, and you determine the award from there. So for example, if you look at the student B, the lowest score this student earned is intermediate low for the speaking. And then even the listening and then reading is intermediate med. Intermediate low is the lowest score, and intermediate low is a world language proficiency certificate level. This is how the Avant 4S, Stamp 4S does identify the scores and the rating. They use the numbers. So the same thing apply. You look at the lowest scores earned by students. So for example, if you look at the student A, listening was intermediate low, reading was intermediate med, and then writing is intermediate low. So 3 of the 4 modalities this student is demonstrating intermediate range. However, the speaking is novice high. So novice high is lower than intermediate benchmark. Therefore, unfortunately, this student does not qualify for any award. So you need to be able to identify awardees based on the results, because these proficiency assessment rating does not tell you what award every student is receiving based on Minnesota's criteria. This is an information about the forms that you will have to fill out to request to MDE. The form itself is straightforward, and the information that we are asking is first the award name and languages, what languages are awarded, and the number of awardees and assessments that are used, and the number of ELs. And we also ask the principal's signature. Now, starting this year, the due date for this form is every October 31st for the previous school year. So for 2019 to 20 school years, deadline was this just passed October 31. This is information about the transcript notation. Statute requires schools and districts to affix a seal on transcripts, not on diplomas. However, technically, depending on what kind of software the schools are using, putting a digital round seal image on a student's transcript may not be possible. So we have this guideline. It's a recommendation of what language to use so that it is clear for a transcript reviewer. Intermediate low or the advanced low or intermediate high, those terms may be mistaken for people who are not used to Act4's proficiency guidelines. So for example, for Bilingual Platinum Seals Award, recommended language for notation is Minnesota Bilingual Platinum Seal at Advanced Low earns 4 semesters of college credit at Minnesota State Colleges. So lastly, informing families and students and celebrate. So these are some certificates that are available that you can use. So again, platinum seal and then gold seals, we have a digital file of the image is available, and then they are meant to put on the student's transcripts. But we also want to hand out something tangible for students and families. So therefore, the MDE has created a template for a physical certificate for each platinum seal and then gold seal. And then World Language Proficiency Certificate is not the seal, and we have this certificate, template certificate available for this award as well. So please feel free to send me questions that you may have. My contact information is listed here. My name is Ayumi Stockman, and I am the World Languages Education Specialist. And then here's a link to MDE's Bilingual Seals webpage. If you read that page, there are links to other resources, and implementation guideline will be coming up soon. So please go back and then visit again. So thank you very much for attending this session, and I'm very happy to offer any support in implementation of bilingual seals work, so please reach out. Thank you.